name's Paul. I'm 35, and I work at an advertising company where my sister, Paniko, or Paige as she prefers to be called here, is the president. About 5 years ago, I quit the job I had with another ad agency and started working at the company my sister founded. Paige was always the sharpest one in the family, and she really made something special with this company of hers. Now the company has grown so big that everyone in the advertising world knows our names. It's really amazing what she's been able to build, and to think that she only started out with a few $1,000s and a couple of employees. I live alone, but Paniko, Paige, still lives at home. So when I visit, we often end up talking about these kinds of things. Wow, you're seriously amazing! Who could have imagined that in just 5 years you'd turn your company into an industry titan?
But I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you, Paul. But still, I can't get used to being called President Paige Panico by you at work. It feels weird, like something's off, and it makes me squirm.
I totally get it. Kind of feels weird for me as well. Though, I'm a lot more used to it now than I was at the beginning.
Speaking of which, when you first started working at my company, Paul, you were going through a lot, weren't you? But look at you now. You look like you're having the time of your life. I'm really happy for you.
Like Paige said, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that I'm at the peak of my happiness right now. But when I first started working at Paige's company, I completely lost my mind because of something that a certain someone did. Before I started working for Paige, I was with another advertising company. It was a pretty big company, and I was getting paid fairly well. And I also had a girlfriend named Shion. She was a real beauty. Shion was a secretary at one of our clients' companies. At both her company and mine, she was considered a high-hanging fruit. But Shion was she was quite indecisive. She had a tendency to refuse making decisions for herself and always forced others to do it for her. For example, something like this would always happen when Shion and I were planning to go on a date together. Hey Shion, anywhere you want to go for our next date?
Nah, anywhere is fine.
Oh, okay. Then how about we go to the new movie theater? There's one in the new shopping mall that just opened, right? Let's go there.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Is there a movie you want to see?
A movie that I want to see? Not really. Anything is fine.
Got it. I'll pick something then. By the way, anything you'd like to eat for lunch? I was thinking of making a reservation at a restaurant, so I wanted to know what you're in the mood for.
I don't really know what to eat, so I'll leave it all to you. You can decide.
And just like that, Shion would always leave all the date planning to me. But then, after we finished watching the sci-fi movie I picked, she'd say something like, I actually hate sci-fi movies, or after grabbing lunch at a curry place, she'd tell me that she's not good with spicy food. To top it off, when we went to the shopping mall, she'd casually mention how she's not a big fan of shopping malls, and every time she'd complain, I was left shocked and stunned. I made sure to ask her beforehand if she was happy with my plan, and she definitely said yes. But I guess that's not going to stop her from complaining, I thought. But as we dated, I gradually started to understand Shion's preferences, so those issues eventually went away. Then one day, when Shion came over to my place, this happened. She stood up to go to the bathroom, and while she was in there, her phone, which was sitting on the table right in front of me, lit up. I glanced at the screen, and there was a notification from someone named Takuya. When I took a closer look at the message, I saw something unbelievable. The message read, "What time should we meet for tomorrow's date?" Naturally, I confronted Shion about this when she came back from the bathroom, but that's when she replied to me with this.
Hold on, there's a big misunderstanding here. Takuya and I aren't like that. He confessed his feelings to me recently, and he told me that he wanted to be my boyfriend. I turned him down, but he keeps bothering me. Please, can you call him right now and tell him to stop contacting me?
Well, seems like Shion isn't really in a shady relationship with this Takuya guy, I thought. And so I did what she asked and spoke to Takuya over the phone. But it turned out, Shion hadn't told him at all that she had a boyfriend. Apparently, as he kept approaching her, she found it harder and harder to tell him the truth. This all happened right around the time I left my previous company and joined Paige's startup. Things were hectic, and maybe I wasn't giving Shion enough attention, which might have made her feel lonely. Maybe I'm partly to blame for this mess. Alright, guess I should be the one to clean it up then. Takuya apologized to me over the phone, and I quickly hung up. I then told Shion repeatedly that from now on, if any other guy approaches her, she needs to clearly turn him down or at least tell me about it. I wanted to make sure something like this never happened again. In hindsight, I probably should have started questioning Shion's character at that point. People always say that love makes people blind, and I think that's exactly how I was back then. Then, 6 months later, Paige's company finally started to take off. I'd been thinking for a while that once my work life stabilized, I'd propose to Shion. I was already 30, and I wanted to support her since she was indecisive and sometimes unreliable. I'd already gotten close with Shion's mother, and I was confident she would approve of the marriage. So I reserved a table at a fancy restaurant for a Wednesday night when both of our schedules were free. Shion and I had talked about marriage a few times before, and she mentioned that she did want to get married soon, even saying things like, "I hope I can get married quickly." Is this how it feels before you propose? My heart's racing. Wonder if Shion will be happy with my proposal. As I went about my days with that excitement, the fateful Wednesday finally arrived. I went straight to the restaurant after work, so I ended up getting there before the reservation time. But when Shion showed up 5 minutes later, I was left completely speechless! Ah! A dumbfounded sound slipped out of my mouth, but honestly, anyone in my shoes would have reacted the same way. And that's because there was a man I didn't recognize standing next to Shion! Who's this?
Well, this is my boyfriend.
What? Huh? I'm supposed to be Shion's boyfriend! I'd reserved this fancy restaurant because I was planning to propose to her tonight! So what the hell's going on? My mind was in total shambles. Then the guy standing next to Shion spoke up.
Nice to meet you. Well, we've actually met before. You probably don't remember me, but I'm Hibiki. I work in a different department at the company you used to work for.
At my previous company, there were so many employees that it was impossible to know everyone. Apparently, Hibiki and I had exchanged a few words before, but I had no memory of it.
Let me be blunt. Please break up with Shion. I'm begging you.
Huh? Wait, hold on! Shion, what's going on? What is this?
Well, I don't know.
I wanted Shion to explain the situation to me using her own words, but all she did was glance at Hibiki for help, like she was asking him to save her. She just kept dodging my questions.
Shion's the type of girl who shuts down more the harder you push her for answers. So I'll explain everything on her behalf.
Hibiki looked at me with this smug expression, as if to say that he knew Shion better than I did. Meanwhile, Shion gave him a relieved smile. Why the hell are you smiling? None of this is funny, you bastard!
Shion had a feeling you were going to propose when you told her you had something important to talk about. But she thought that, being as indecisive as she is, she wouldn't be able to turn you down even if she wanted to. And that meant that she would have to break up with me. Or at least, that's what she told me the other day.
Okay, first of all, I'm Shion's boyfriend, not this random Hibiki guy! She shouldn't be seeing this guy at all! This is an affair!
So I asked Shion this question. Who do you want to be with, me or Paul? And she said she wanted to be with me. I told her that if that's how she felt, she should stay with me. Then she finally realized that maybe she liked me more than she liked you. Since she knew that she couldn't reject your proposal on her own, I came along to help her out.
Huh? Wait, Shion, do you really like him more than me? Am I just nothing to you?
Well, that's what it sounded like when we had our conversation. You like me more than him, right?
Hibiki placed his hands on Shion's shoulders and looked her in the eye while saying this. That's when she said this in response.
Yeah, that's right.
No way. At first I was just heartbroken about losing the Shion I once loved to another guy, but as we talked, anger started to rise in me. The reason Shion's so indecisive and relies on others like that is that she doesn't want to take responsibility for her own actions. She knew how sad I would be if I learned that she was cheating on me, but she still did it regardless. She betrayed me and didn't even bother to tell me the truth herself. Thinking about it that way made my love for her fade away completely. To make things worse, after that dinner, when I contacted some of my former coworkers, I found out that before Shion broke up with me, she'd also been dating several other guys besides Hibiki. I felt like they were taking me too lightly, and I wanted to get my revenge. But then I realized that Hibiki, who would be with an irresponsible woman who couldn't care for others' feelings, would eventually go through the same heartbreak I did. Thanks to Shion's mom, I managed to get some compensation from them, so I figured it was a waste of time to seek revenge on them myself. If I just left them alone, they'd end up unhappy on their own. With that mindset, I went on with my life and became a shell of my former self for a good while. However, 5 years later, things took an unexpected turn. One evening, after finishing work and leaving the office, this happened.
Hey, wait, Paul, it's me.
A woman in tattered clothes with a few gray hairs called out to me. No, that's not a stranger. I know her. I know her very well. That's Shion! I can't believe it! She looks nothing like her previous self. She's like a completely different person. She'd aged significantly, and both her face and clothes were in disarray. She had changed so much that I could hardly recognize her as Shion at first glance. Still, after everything that happened, I couldn't believe she was trying to reach out to me again. This girl really doesn't understand other people's feelings. But I suppose she's in a really tough spot right now, so I can't blame her too much. I'd learned from a former colleague about Shion's situation and knew all the details. So when I saw her, I couldn't help but smirk a little.
Hey, Paul, I saw an article about your company on the magazine. It looks like business is going really well for you.
Something I can help you with?
Huh?
I'm sorry, but I've got nothing more to discuss with you. Goodbye. As I tried to walk away, Shion hurriedly grabbed my arm.
Wait, just a moment. Please listen. The thing is, I want to break up with Hibiki, but I can't. You have to help me. Hibiki is incredibly possessive. He checks my phone without asking, and if he sees any male contacts, even if they're work-related, he makes me send them a message saying never contact me again. This is why I ended up getting fired from my job. On top of that, he's a big spender who used up all my savings to himself. Since I had a hard time saying no when someone gets assertive, I ended up giving him all my money.
According to what I heard from my former colleague, Hibiki's a seriously dangerous guy who manipulates the women he dates. He always forces them to cut off ties with all the other men in their lives and ends up stealing all of their money from them. He's quite charming and good with words. But all the female employees at his company knew to stay far away from him. Apparently, there have been cases in the past where women who dated him ended up in situations like Shion's, getting into trouble at work, and even facing arrest or resignation.
My mom completely cut ties with me after breaking up with Paul, so she won't help me at all. When we were dating, you clearly told the guys who approached me, I'm Shion's boyfriend, so please stay away from her. Could you please tell Hibiki the same thing? I beg of you. I want to break up with him, but I can't do it on my own. Daddy!
Just then, a little girl ran up to me and hugged my legs tightly.
What? Did she just call you Daddy? What's going on?
Following the girl, a tall, stylish woman walked over to me, smiling and saying, "Hey, Ani, how was work?" Seeing Shion's wide eyes filled with confusion, I decided to explain the situation to her. This is my wife, and this is our daughter, Sachiko.
Huh? Wait, you're telling me you got married?
Yeah, that's right. We have plans to go out for dinner together tonight.
Daddy! I want to eat hamburgers today. I helped Mommy fold the laundry earlier, so she said I could have a Sunday too.
Really? Good job. Sure, let's get you a burger and a sundae. And I'm proud of you for telling me what you want for dinner.
What are you even talking about, Daddy? That's something even a baby could do. They cry when they're hungry, right? And that's how they let their moms know that they want something to eat. Why are you proud of me for doing something so basic? Damn it.
Guess that was the straw that broke the camel's back for Shion. She fell to her knees and burst into tears.
I'll do anything. I'll apologize to you if I offended you in any way. I'm sorry, alright? So please, you have to help me.
But that was when this man approached us and entered the conversation.
Hey, Shion! I've been looking all over for you!
Hibiki, what the hell? How did you find me? I didn't tell you where I was going.
Hearing this, Hibiki grinned and said,
I found a magazine in your room, and the page featuring Paul's company was still open. I figured you must have come here to see him, and sure enough, here you are. You can't just meet another guy without telling me, you know? You trying to betray me or something?
I'm sorry. Please forgive me.
Guess I'll have to take you home and give you a proper talking to. Come on, let's go.
Wait, no! I don't want to go. I'm sorry. Please forgive me, Paul. Help me, please.
As Hibiki grabbed her by the collar, Shion was dragged away, screaming and crying. Later, I heard from a former colleague that Hibiki had borrowed a large sum of money from loan sharks and had suddenly fled, leaving the company behind. Shion had been coerced into becoming a guarantor for Hibiki's debts, which meant she was now being chased by loan sharks every day. Unfortunately, she had given all her money to Hibiki, and with no job, there was no way for her to pay off the debts. And now, she's living in a small shack deep in the mountains, working in a factory without rest. As for Hibiki, he'd recently got caught for various crimes, including fraud, and was arrested by the police. He was sentenced to a lengthy prison term and will likely never see the outside world again. I never could have predicted that such dire consequences awaited them when I was planning to propose to Shion, but honestly, they had it coming to them. This is what happens when you betray me. I guess karma's real, huh? Meanwhile, I was living happily with my wife and our beautiful daughter, Sachiko. We were having the time of our lives together. My work was going smoothly as usual, and I truly feel that this is the happiest time of my life. Speaking of happiness, Paige came over to visit recently, and this happened during her last visit.
Hello. Oh, Paige, hi. Sachiko, it's been a while. You look adorable as always. Here, this is a gift for you. Yay, thank you. Is it pudding again? I love the pudding you bring. Really? I'm glad to hear that. Yeah. This is why I kind of always look forward to you coming to visit us.
Thanks for the treat, Paige. I feel bad for always being spoiled with your gifts.
It's no problem. I didn't have much of a role in this video, so bringing pudding is the least I can do. Now let's go inside and enjoy some pudding together. Thank you for watching! What kind of crazy people will we get to see next? Stay tuned for more!